Hey guys, so it's April right now. We are in spring. I have planted out about a dozen more seedling trees, so I was gonna kind of do an update on that and show you guys what I planted out. It's also good for me to kind of keep track of this. I do have some tags around the trunk of these plants, but yeah, most likely in the next couple of years, those tags will disappear, and this would get good for me to kind of keep track of what I did plan it out. So this right here is I had actually noted this as a coconut cream, but from what I'm able to tell so far, I think I mislabeled that. Pretty sure at this point that this was a M4 seedling, just because of the clones that came out with the light leaves. These were probably one of the only ones of the varieties where I was growing with light color orange leaves that was from a poly variety. And I decided to put this one in the ground because it is growing so massively and so quick. Now the trunk is doing pretty well, and I don't think it's gonna do much better in the pot. So I think it's outgrowing the pot so fast. So I decided to put this in, and we'll see what happens. So this right here is has a has a piney kind of notes to the leaves. So an Indian kind of spice to it, more piney than say anything else. Not in the Indian Alfonso category, but more like probably piney West Indian, I guess. I'm not really too sure. Okay, so that is one of the trees I put in. Let's keep on going. Maybe I'll kind of give you guys an update on some of these that I have in the ground also. I do have lots of seedlings, but skip any of the Altafos or Laverne Manila seedlings and just kind of like the the different ones, that we have. So this is pickering that I put in, and kind of check this out. It's already blooming. Already blooming for such a small tree. I was hoping for another year or so. This was started out in like June, July of 2023. So you're talking about a year and a little over a year and a half, maybe 18 months or so. And here's the bloom. Again, one of those phenomenons in California where seedlings tend to bloom very early. I'm hoping this is it, and it's not because it's stressed out or about to die or anything like that. But yeah, there goes pickering. That's about 18 months old. That's blooming. So let's keep on going. I've been trying to group some of them into sections, so kind of for me it's kind of easier, kind of remember them and so forth. But this is two more carries I kind of put here. One of it hasn't been really doing well in the pot, so I kind of thought maybe I'll just give it a chance in the ground. So these two are just planted. I've been planting this very kind of high density concentrated with each other. I am in California. They don't grow that fast. I think I'll probably have some issues with it in 7 or 8 years, and by then maybe there's some sort of fruits I know, or I could just kind of remove any ones that's not desirable. That's just my opinion on this, just because they do go slower. At the worst, I could just chop it off, regraft it to something else, remove it. It's not that big of a deal. It's more, for me, more of a time that you have for these, so here's another carry, and this one was planted out last year, doing really well. This carry was planted out last year too, not doing so well. And I put in two more lemon zest seedlings. These were all separate. These were separate seedlings. This thing came this didn't come from a poly seed or anything, but I just kind of put it together and see how it does. Whichever does well. So here's another one that went in this spring. This is a Bombay seedling, and it's done so well, so I had to just kind of give it some space in the yard. And this Bombay has the leaves has a nice kind of Alfonso Indian spice smell to it, you know. Uh, Here's some more lemon zest seedling. Again, these two, they not came from a poly seed, but they were two separate seeds. I just kind of put them side by side next to each other, save space. And then here's two more Bombays, which I again, this one came put in a spring. I just kind of put it right next to each other. Just to kind of save space, you know. So, okay, let's kind of move on. Let's see what else I put in recently. Okay, I put in like three. I think these are all cogshaw. So these are all cogshaw that I just put in this spring, like in the last week. These went in the ground. And this one too. Cogshaw. So I think the cogshaw, because this one was a poly seed. I can't recall if cogshaw was a poly. The other ones just came out with one trunk. Okay, here is guava Saint Talone. This was put out last year. It's doing really well. I mean, this isn't really an ideal spot. It gets a bit colder in this section of the yard, but it's doing really well. I mean, growing pretty vigorously, and it's 3 trunks, at least 3 trunks. Here's one that's growing out somewhat from this side. So let's see. Here's a lemon zest seedling. Lots of little trunks on this lemon zest. So like 2, I think, 2 or 3. And then this one right here is a cat I just put in recently. So I'll just keep on going, hoping this kind of helps me remember everything. So these two are Honeykiss. I've liked the way Honeykiss has grown. People sometimes ask me about rootstock, right? And what would I recommend as a rootstock? If you guys are experimenting with rootstock, I'm not really doing that anymore. I'm just kind of growing it, but I'm not doing it for the purpose of kind of seeing how rootstocks does. But the 2 ones I have liked out of all these hundreds of seeds that I've been experimenting with, the 2 that I like that is not that one. I'm not referring to the Laverne Manillas or the Alfalfa Seedlings, has been guava Saint Talone. I have liked that. I wanted to see how it would handle this winter, and it did really well. So guava / Saint Talone, it's a poly seed, and all those seedlings from it, they seem to be poly, but they're all very vigorous growing. So that's the good thing about that guava Saint Talone seed. So it's a good one to experiment with if you guys want to, in terms of rootstock, in terms of a rootstock that produces a quality fruit too, which you probably will not get with the locally Laverne Manila that we have here, which is a fibrous fruit. The other one is Honeykiss. It's interesting, and it has some qualities to it that kind of reminds me of the growth habit of a alfalfa seed. So it's not the most vigorous seeds to start out with. That first year, that first half year to year, it's slower than the other seeds. It's definitely slower than the other seeds, but they seem to just kind of pace along really nicely. Like when the first to flush, still kind of flushing vegetation even when the weather is getting cooler. So it just kind of paces along really nicely, which reminds me of alfalfa. Alfalfa does that. It's not the most vigorous grower, especially in that first year, but it just kind of keeps kind of pacing along, and it doesn't really slow down. I mean, it doesn't go off on a very super vigorous growth, but it doesn't slow down if you guys are following what I'm saying. So I've liked Honeykiss, so that's why I put 2 more of these into the ground, and they're both poly seeds, and you can see multiple trunks on them, And I'll keep on going. I'll show you some of the bigger Honeykiss that went in last year and how well they're doing. Okay, we're gonna keep on going. Here's another lemon zest right here. This one has 2 trunks. One's a bit smaller. Put this in last year. Here is a sweet tart. Okay. And here's a coconut cream that I just put in this spring. Here's the cotton candy, at least 2 trunks, maybe 3, like a tiny one. So, cotton candy. Here is another guava Saint Alone. Look at it. It's growing really nicely. Look at this. This one actually has like, gosh, maybe 6 or 7 trunks in there. I'm not even sure if all of it survived this winter. But you can kind of see it right here. So this is the guava Saint Alone one. Here is another one. This one is a sweet tart. Sweet tart right here. Doing really well. This one's a clone right here. This one's a classic smelling sweet tart seedling. So definitely the pollinated tree that came out of it. So it's just the clone right here. I'm gonna kind of keep on going. Here's an alfalfa seedlings I put down there. It was growing really well. It was growing really nice. This has been in the ground probably let's see, I think it was the end of spring of 23. No, not spring, and like around fall, winter of 23. I grafted a seedling onto this, and we'll see what happens. I don't really like alfalfa as a green eating mango, or it's not really even growing one yourself that ripens. It's not any much better a ripe one than a grocery store one. So that's why I put this grafted this seedling onto it, just because it might be something interesting that comes up. And this is the M4 seedling that I showed you in the first part of the video that has a piney notes to it. So here is another honey kiss, and look at this honey kiss. It's grown really well. This went into the ground last spring, so looking really well. Okay, I'm gonna keep on going. Let's see what I got here. I think this is a cotton. Yep, this is another cotton candy. Couple chunks, I think. So doing really well. I'm gonna try to squeeze through all of this. Let's see. Show you guys what else I have. So this orange leaf one that has like 3 trunks. This is M4. This one right here to the right, this is coconut cream. Let's see, as you can tell, the coconut cream has most of the leaves on it has a more reddish leaves, and all the M4s has been this orangey kind of tinge to the leaf. Just so you guys know, you're starting out your own seedlings. And let's keep on going. Let's see. Here's another coconut cream. I kind of put this with a manila that hasn't really done too well for me. It's been struggling, so we'll see if it ends up overtaking it. I'm fine with that too. And then here is another M4 that I have in the ground. This one just went in this spring right now. I put this in because it was growing really nicely. 3 individual, came from a polyseed, but 3 individual trunks. And it was really outgrowing my pots. I have not been able to identify which one is the pollinated one, but it's one of the reasons why I just put it in this ground too. So see how it goes. Here is my well, here's the last one on this video that I put in the ground. This is a sweet tart seedling, and I had a June plum here which I just recently removed and potted up. But this one's a sweet tart with 2 trunks. Funny looking curvy trunk on one of this, just because I get that sometimes when they struggle coming out of the seed husk. Okay guys, well that is an update on this. I might end up putting some more seedlings into ground before the end of the year, but we'll see. This is what I have for now, and It's gonna be pretty interesting and fun to see what happens to it in the next few years. All right, guys. Thanks.